Alright, so next up is the animations for the character. So now we have our slimy type of monster here, and we have it all moving. We can also try it yet again, so we can move, jump, and stuff like that, but there's no animation in place. So what we want to do is that when the character is standing still, it would have some kind of an animation that it's like breathing or stuff like that. And when it's moving, we have some that it's moving some way, like maybe sliding forward or stuff like that. And also when pressing the jump key, it would change some kind of animation for that as well. So how can we create those? So first of all, let's start by jumping into our event sheet. So we renamed the event sheet in our previous video from event sheet 1 to game. And you can find the game from top. If you, for some reason, have closed it, like I just did, you can open it right here from the project hierarchy. You can double click that and you get it open. So there is some basic information how event sheets work and how you can add new events and stuff like that. And there's actually a example event of how it works. So at the left top corner, we have a text at event. So let's press that. So we get a window in which we have all of our game object listed. And there's also the system. So let's look into these. So we have the player. We have the grass, which is the child background object, the platform in top the player is standing. And we have system in which we have, you double click that, we have different kind of a system events. So the event sheet is divided into two segments basically. We have the events. So events are the stuff which kind of triggers something to happen, and then we have actions. So I'm just gonna give you a quick example. You don't have to follow this. I'm just gonna delete the event after this. So let's find a on start of layout. There's a green arrow there, which means it's a trigger. Trigger means that there's a one given situation when this happens, and trigger on start of layout. So when the layout starts, something's gonna happen. So right now we have a event on start of layout, but we don't have any actions. So there's of course nothing gonna happen on the start of layout. But by pressing the add action to that on start of layout, we actually get another list of stuff for the objects. We also right now have yet again all of the objects listed which are in the game. And I could, let's say, pick the player, double click that, and I would get a full list of different kind of actions what could happen on start of the layout. So for example, let's see, there's a destroy. So if I pick this, there's now a code saying that on start of layout, so when the layout starts, what we're gonna do is destroy the player. So obviously, if I press the play now, we don't have any player anymore because it got destroyed when the level started. So basic as that, it's just giving the trigger or the event which makes the actions possible right here. So that's the very basics of event sheet functionality. So I'm gonna delete this and let's make the animations. So let's start by pressing the So let's start by pressing the add event right here. And let's pick player. And what we can find here when we go down, we have the platform behavior, which we added for the character. And we have all kinds of different kind of events for that platform behavior pre-made for us. So these are pretty straightforward to understand that there's a, let's say, the platform is on the floor, right here. So when I pick that, it says that is on floor, true, when the object is on top of a solid or platform. So yeah, we just created the tile background, which is a solid. So we can actually choose this event that when the player is on floor, something's gonna happen. And we can actually press the add action and choose the player. And we can find here from the animations, there's actually is animations category. We can see the set animation. And we could write down any kind of an animation here. But also the Construct Tree game engine is so clever that it actually understands what kind of animations does your character include. So if I would press the Shift 2, I can see all the animations which are created for the player character right now. So right now there's only animation 1. So what is this animation 1? We don't actually want to choose that, and let's find out what it is. So we can actually press cancel and go back to level 1 and pick our character and double click that. So here we have the character sprite, which we can draw into, but there's on the right there's a list of animations. So there it is, the animation 1. So at the bottom there's a animation 1 frames. So what are the frames for this animation 1? Right now there's only one frame, the only single frame which we have created so far. So what we can wanna do is first create a idle animation. So what we need to do is rename this animation 1. Let's right click that and press rename, and let's rename idle. So what idle in this case means is that we're gonna make an animation that when the character is standing still, it's gonna play this animation. So let's create this animation. I'm just gonna right click this frame here at the bottom and press duplicate. And I'm gonna just use this rectangular select tool and pick like half of the character and just move it a little down like that. And I'm just right clicking this new frame again and duplicate that and use the rectangle tool again to select half of it and move it a little down. So what I'm doing here is a very fast animation for, let's say, a breathing type of animation. And I'm gonna duplicate that yet again and pick it, half of it, and move it a little down. So what our animation now does, I can pick the first frame, the 0 frame, and go through all of these. So what will happen now is that it's kind of a breathing, but we need to change the idle properties. So if I press this animation from the right, I can see from the animation properties on the right corner, bottom corner, is the name of the animation, speed of the animation, is it looping? So looping basically means that it plays the animation until infinity. Or I could use repeat count, so it just plays the animation, let's say 10 times and then stops doing that. And there's also the repeat to, so I can basically pick the frame where the animation ends. And there's also the ping pong, which means that when the animation is finished, it's gonna go from the end back to the beginning. So that's actually what we want to do with this animation. So we want it to go to the end and then back up. Go to the end and back up. So that's why we need, from the idle, we need to check the loop, that it's gonna repeat the animation forever. And we need to use the ping pong as well. And now if I close this, press the window closed, and choose the player character and go down, I can actually find here the properties for the animations. And there's a initial animation is the idle, which we just created. And let's see, does the preview? No, it's for the purchased person, so let's not use that. But we need to code it to see how it works. So the preview would be if you have paid membership for the engine, we could use that. But right now, we just need to make it work in code and see how it works within the gameplay. So let's jump back to our event sheet right here. And the platform is on floor is already one of the things, events which we have added. And we need to add an action for that and choose the player. And from the animations, I need to use the set animation. And now if I press the Shift 2, I can find the idle animation from the list, which we just created. I double click that and now I have it right there. And we need to play it from the beginning. So let's press done. So now if I press play, let's see what happens. So there you have it. The character is now idling. It's kind of a breathing. But it's playing it all the time right now. So we need to fix that, of course. But right now we have the first animation in place. So let's close that. And go back to level 1. And pick our character and double click that to open up the animation window yet again. And we are gonna do a little trick here to make a little faster so we don't have to create all type of animations from the scratch. So what we are gonna do is right click on this idle animation. And there's an option called duplicate. So let's duplicate that. And right click the animation tool which we just created and rename and call it run. And so it's basically a duplicate from the idle animation. But what we are going to do is just change the speed of the animation to something very much faster. Let's type in 30. So now the speed is that 30 frames per second, basically. So it's going to play, 30 frames per second. So every second it's going to play 30 of these frames. So it's going to be really fast. And that's what we're actually trying to achieve here. So now we can close this yet again and go to event sheet and let's place another event. So let's press the add event, choose the player, and there's a from the platform behavior. We actually need to choose yet again the is moving, and let's add an action there. And choose the player and choose set animation and press shift 2 here so we get the list of animations. So we actually have now the idle and the run which we just added. So let's pick the run, press done. So now we have two different type of events. So basically when the platform is on floor, we are gonna play this idle animation. But if the platform is moving, we're gonna set the animation to run. There's a little problem here since that there's a conflict. So basically what we're saying for the engine is that when the platform is on floor, we need to set the animation to idle. But if it's moving, we set it to run. But it doesn't basically say that because these happen at the same time. Character can be at the floor and it can also be moving. So basically it's trying to do both of these, and which ends up it's gonna do only one. So what we need to do is we need to add a another condition for both of these events to make sure that it's playing only one of these. So how we can tackle that? First of all, what we're gonna do for the idle is that when the character is on floor, but we want to make that it's not moving, it's gonna play the idle animation. And when it's on floor, but it is moving, we want to play the run animation. So let's right click this is on floor. And there you can find an option, add another condition. So let's pick that, choose the player. And from the platform behavior, scroll down, and you can find a is moving. Let's pick that. So now we have a saying that for the engine that if the player is on floor and it is moving, you play the idle animation. But what we wanted to do is that when the player is on floor and it is not moving. So how you can basically invert these events is by choosing the event and pressing I. So it places a cross on top, on front of the event, which means that when this is not happening, that's the condition. So basically, when the character is now on floor and it's not moving, we're gonna play the idle animation. And for platform is moving, I'm just gonna give you a couple of seconds to think what we need to add there to make it play the run animation when the character is moving. Well, yeah, obviously it is that we need to use the same event than here, but without inverting it. We can actually pick the event here and press actually right click it, and you can find copy, and let's pick the platform is moving and right click there and click paste. Oh no, let's actually not do that. I'm not sure why that did that. So let's add another event, or I can just use the hotkeys Control C and Control V. So that's the hotkey for that. So pressing down to Control and pressing C is for copy, and pressing down to Control and pressing V at the same time, it pastes right there. But we need to remove the invert from there. So choosing the event and pressing I, it removes the invert. So basically now we have a event saying that when the platform, when the player is moving, sorry. What we needed to do here is copy the platform is on floor, not the other way around. Sorry, my bad. So platform is on floor needs to be copied and add it right there. We can actually remove that. So now we have a correct event. My bad, sorry about that. So platform is now moving and it is on the floor. Then we play the run animation. And when it's not moving and it's on the floor, we play the idle animation. So let's see how that works. Jump to level 1 and press play. And see, now it's idling because it's on the floor, not moving. And when we start moving, the animation speeds up. And when we stop, it goes back to idle. So it's working basically perfectly, just as we intended. Now we have the moving animation, and we can stop as well for the idle. That's great. So what we are missing still is the jump animation. So let's create that and then continue to next video. So let's open up the character, double click that, open up the animations window, and we can actually right click on the idle and duplicate that, and right click on the animation 3, which we just created, and rename it to jump. And what we can do here is remove all the other frames. So let's remove these by pressing them on the left mouse click and using the delete button from your keyboard. You can delete this, or just right click and delete, whatever you prefer. And we're gonna change this first frame a little. We are gonna pick the eraser here. Oh, that's a big one. So let's scale it down a little. So what we're gonna do is basically make it like a droplet. So when it jumps, it looks like it's kind of a water drop or something like that. There we go. And actually, let's make another animation by duplicating this. So right click on the jump and duplicate that. And if you have created it like me, so you have the droplet type of object facing up, we can make a falling animation as well, kind of doing it really fast here. So right click on the animation 4, rename that, and call it fall. And what we're gonna do here is a very cheap way to do falling animation is just mirror at the top. We have the button mirror vertically, so it places it upside down. So what we're gonna do is when the player jumps, it flies upwards, and when it starts to fall, it changes downwards. So let's close it and go to game, the event sheet, and let's add an event, choose the player, and from the platform we actually have ready-made is jumping. Let's double click that and add an action for it. So press that, choose the player, and choose the set animation. And pressing the Shift 2, we actually get the list again, and now we have the jump there. So let's choose the jump, just done. And let's add another event. So add event, choose the player, and from the platform we have the is falling. Let's pick that, add an action for it, choose the player, set animation, and Shift 2, and we have the fall animation. Like that. Press done. Now we have all the needed animations. We can try how those actually look. We have the idle, we have it moving, and when we jump and go down, it looks like a droplet. So there you go. All the necessary animation for our very simple platformer game. Looking rather nice, considering it's made in a couple of minutes. So it's very new, very nice. So you can actually train your animation skills by trying to create more fancy animations and testing out how those actually work. You can try it out if you like, and creating actually a little more complicated character than this slimy guy. But for this project, it's totally fine to have everything look a little silly and very, let's say, fastly created stuff. But that's our animations. So next up is the spike obstacle. So basically we're gonna create a obstacle here in which if the player collides, the player's gonna die and the level is gonna start from all over. But that's in the next video, so see you there.